that Aristotle, besides being one of the greatest philosophers, besides being teacher to Alexander the Great, did not have any spare time. You're wrong. Think again. In his spare time, I don't know where this guys actually dug up their own time. In his spare time, Aristotle analyzed over 500 species and dissected 35 kinds. Now, also made a lot of comments on octopuses, but we'll have a whole video on octopuses. That's not the moment. The idea is that he wanted to understand how reproduction was working, right? And so, you know, there were previous theories. For instance, Parmenides thought that you know, like reproduction totally depended on seeds of love that would grow. And there were also other theories out there, typical of the ancient Greeks, in which basically the idea was that it all depended on a mixture between hot and cold, and humid and dry, and fire and earth, and so on and so forth, right? And the idea, somebody added water and ether, etc. And the idea was that everything is created and so is born through a mixture of opposites. Aristotle, therefore, inherited all of this. So how and why Aristotle's theory is one of the most sexist? Well, the idea that Aristotle had is that semen and therefore seeds are provided by the man, and therefore men would represent the efficient cause. We have to go back to the theory of cause, and according to the theory of cause, the efficient cause is the one that initiates the movement, right? And so because men, and only men according to Aristotle, had semen, therefore men represented the efficient cause, whereas females represented the material cause. And the material cause because the baby, as we all know, grows up in their belly, and the material cause because they contribute only towards the end. That is what Aristotle would say, right? And a lot of metaphors in the description of how reproduction occurs have to do with water and foam in Aristotle for some reason. For instance, he talks about this movement, which reminds very much of the waves and the froth that waves create to describe the growth of the baby. And we really don't know where Aristotle took that sort of imaginary from. We only know, and we can only be connected to Venus, who was foam-based. But besides that, we don't really have technical sources to justify that. But the idea here is to discuss Aristotle's reproduction, but only to highlight a point. A point that is extremely hard to eradicate is the sexism that we also have inherited along with his theory. For instance, while Plato was much more of an equalizer of genders, while Plato would have more egalitarian positions towards women, Aristotle really didn't. So in describing the difference between efficient and material cause in reference to reproduction, which is also describing the difference between men and women, what Aristotle says is that the efficient cause is better and more divine, and then goes ahead and describes the material cause as inferior. In discussing the phasal development, he says that when the womb is too cold and has poor nourishment, a female is born. So the womb being cold and poorly nourished, right? Which means that the opposite, when the womb is hot and greatly nourished, then you would have a male. And so somehow already you could see how this theory is sexist. We can go on now, and we can say that, for instance, Aristotle talks about elderly and young being more fragile and therefore delivering more female babies than male babies. And finally, he said also when south wind blows, then the semen is more liquid and is harder to concoct, and therefore a female is born. Aristotle's language contains expressions that indicate that women are born, and because basically the project of the universe sort of thing would be to deliver males, but when that fails, women are born. And that women are more cautious, less courageous, and generally speaking, the impression that we get is that, at least from Aristotle, is that women are weaker. And so along with his theory, what we have really inherited is also, and most of all, his sexism. But as noted by Marianne Klein Horowitz, Aristotle really invented the female inferiority for the West. The same type of inferiority that in 1976 would make the US Supreme Court say that prostate cancer and circumcisions have to be medically insured, but pregnancy and childbirth do not need to be medically insured. Now, luckily things have changed, but have they really changed? So guys, let us know what you think about this theory. Let us know and comment below. And if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe it, and we'll talk next time in a new video.